Warning. The following podcast features terrible jokes, usually about board games. Like those jokes your dad tells that make you groan. Yeah, those kind of jokes. Accordingly, Boards and Swords and the producers must insist that no one attempt to recreate any joke performed on this podcast.
Watch very closely now. 3, 2, 1. Bzow! Check that out.
We want the fun. Gotta have that fun.
Is it okay if it's okay if like when the bread touches the fries?
Do I really want to just stand still and cast a lightning bolt? No, I want to avoid you and shove a lightning bolt at Grace.
I just crapped my alien pants.
By the way, I just want to let you guys know.
You hate all of us, and we're fired.
I've released poison into the AC system. You all have about 5 minutes left to live.
So much news, like all this stuff to talk about.
No, there's been some stuff, but it was all boring.
You didn't go with C.
Well, you need to go with C.
And our friends, we combined.
You've told that story.
We combined. Have I told it on the podcast?
I'm pretty sure
you
told
have.
it.
Well, I'm telling it again.
Because I just realized as I was reading this that this game's already been done. They even made a show about it. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh! And go watch it.
This is Boards and Swords.
I forgot. It doesn't change back to me. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Boards and Swords. This is a podcast about bad jokes, good folks, and some tabletop games. I'm one of your hosts. My name's Chris Renshaw, and I'm going to see how choppy we get Mr. Philip Herbig over here. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, still a little choppy.
That was on purpose.
Oh, okay. No, but now it's frozen with you just kind of like...
Now it's really choppy, yes.
So, apologies to everyone that's watching on video.
Let's be honest. They're not here for me.
Yeah.
They're here for Chris and that beard.
And that's super crisp video. Like, oh man, like the video is looking crisp today.
Chris, why is your video so high resolution there, buddy?
I don't know. Like, maybe because it's actually like right here. The camera's like right there instead of like way over in the corner.
What are you doing when you're not on the podcast there, Chris?
Porn.
I mean, damn it.
But no, like never. Wait, it's not what you think.
Chris, what are you doing in there? Drugs.
It's if you subscribe to my OnlyFans, you would find out.
That's right.
All right. So yeah, we did not have an episode last time, and I mean, I feel like we're lucky that one's happening right now. By the way, I hope everybody likes my Star Wars Band-Aid.
Yeah, Star Wars Band-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah, stuff's not working, and yes, it's been a very stressful time. I've had family in the hospital and all that and that, but we want to make sure we got at least a couple episodes in before we have our whole Vegas trip. So this is our makeup episode for last week. So any news that's come out in the past week, we won't be talking about here. This is what we would have had before. And then next week, we're going to have another show, and that's going to be the everything else.
Yes.
Also for patrons, bonus bits could be late because we're not recording them tonight because we're already late and I need to get to bed on time. So, with that, Philip, let's do some news. All right. Hold on, mouse keeps leaving. There we go. There we go. All right. If someone that looks into stock market fraud, is that person called an investigator? Yeah, see, this is like the glitch. You just hear this like, jing.
Oh.
But I love April Fool's jokes. Ashley hates it because she doesn't like being fooled. But I just love when the jokes are like funny products that you can tell is a joke.
Yes.
And then it's funnier when those products end up like becoming actual products. But I feel like Fantasy Flight this time, they did an Arkham horror joke. But this time they like knew to they like made it so that they couldn't actually make this product. Because like they have a scenario, it's like the blob that destroyed everything. But they came out with the blob that investigated everything, announcing a new investigator for Arkham Horror, the card game. And it's like, ever since 8L08 Smith was just a little, definitely human boy, he always dreamed of one day visiting Arkham. 8L08, meaning like blob, because it looks like blob. So they made a card. So the character from the blob that consumed everything, they made into an investigator, and it's 8L-08 Smith. And why is it like, there it goes. He doesn't have too many extraordinary abilities, but he makes up for it with his incredible stats. So yeah, he's like a 5 investigate and like a 5 strength, but like no willpower. But like, here's his actions. Action: do human things like investigate an enemy. That works, right? Fight a doom. I don't know. Don't devour anything. And then the Elder Sign effect, which is like your critical roll thing there. +1. Quick, if nobody is looking, devour this token and draw another token. Devour the second token too. Then draw a third token. If anyone sees you do this, maybe just play it cool. I'm on a cleanse, I swear. He's got like 55 health.
That's amazing.
Well, because like in the game, you can play him in like epic mode, which is like you could like, this was one of those Gen Cons where you played him with up to like 45 people, and each 4-man group was like working their version of the blob down, and it took its overall health down.
Okay.
But you look at its like best friend cards, and it's like, quote, best friend. I think his name is Peter. When your turn ends, he's trying to run away again. Test agility 4. If you fail, attach him to your location. If you succeed, flip this card. Parlay, there you are. Take control of best friend. And he's got 25 health apparently. And then
and 1 willpower.
Yeah, and 1 willpower. But the treachery is really, really hungry. Weakness. Revelation. Devour Arkham Horror, the card game. Does this mean the game is dying? So like, it's so funny that like it's one of those like, oh, we want this to happen, but like they literally can't, because then it would be like, yes, technically they could, but it would be detrimental to them.
Yes.
And it's just like overly busted. Like the best friend card has like 6 bonuses that it gives to a stat. So they've discovered the secret. You have to make it absurdly bad so that you can't realistically use it.
Yeah, there's no chance at all.
Yeah.
Of it being entered in game. That's awesome.
It's just so crazy, it just might work. All right. So on to our next story. We needed some extra help at work, so I went and opened a bunch of those little packaged crackers and cheese, crackers and peanut butter. I mean, the boss did say they wanted some freelancers. So Plaid Hat Games unveils Freelancers, a Crossroads game, the ultimate fantasy RPG experience in one night. So hopefully if the thing, freaking video now is frozen. There it goes. All right. They announced their latest creation, Freelancers, a Crossroads game set in August of this year. The game is a follow-up to their award-winning 2020 game, Forgotten Waters. Freelancers promises to be an exciting fantasy RPG condensed into a single night of fun and mayhem. You create their own unique character, roll funky dice, and embark on multiple quests in a world filled with magic, monsters, and murder. It doesn't require a game master, as a magical companion app takes care of all the storytelling. A lot of games are doing this, and I'm here for it.
Oh, yeah.
So players can travel to colorful locations on their quests, collect chaotic and lawful titles along the way. The ultimate goal is to become a legend and carve your name on the pipes of the city. So Crossroads is like, you remember Dead of Winter, right?
Yes.
That was a Crossroads game where like you draw the card and it's like, if so-and-so's turn, then do this. So they had that game. Then they did Gen 15 or whatever, or Gen 7. That was I think Gen 15 was like a card is like a comic series, but it was like Gen 7 was like the spaceship one that they did, and that one was not great. It was a co-op game I played with Mike and Corey and Jimmy, and that was okay. But then they came out with Forgotten Waters. It was like the first title that they did back when Plaid Hat was no longer Asmodee. It was like the first thing they did, and it was a lot of people liked it. It was a very like piratey kind of like open seas sort of game. And then now looks like this. See, but this is the kind of thing like I feel like that this system is made for, like the RPG kind of fantasy trope. You know, it gives you that kind of like Descent or Gloomhaven vibe. You know, out of a box where you don't have to have like 50 million things.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be like a fraction of the price. They're also offering a 10% discount to those who sign up for notifications on their website, freelancersgame.com. Pre-order the game this summer. Yeah,
Well,
so
good.
I imagine this will be like $70 tops, maybe.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
So
Just looking at what some of the game board stuff there.
yeah. Speaking of dumping your wallet out, though, at Gen Con, we always have a competition to see who can use the urinal the fastest. It's some real PvP action happening. There's a Clank 2 coming, or Clank Legacy 2. Clank Legacy, the board game, is getting a sequel featuring PvP gameplay. It's a return to Acquisitions Incorporated.
All right.
The Clank Legacy board game series is getting a new entry that will induce player versus player gameplay for the first time. Announced via a press release from Direwolf, the publisher responsible for releasing the series, Clank Legacy 2, Acquisitions Boogaloo, I don't know, I'm just kidding. Acquisitions Incorporated Darkest Magic is an upcoming board game taking place in the Penny Arcade universe, a series of webcomics themed around pop culture and video games. The new title will have players once again getting their hands dirty in the name of corporate advancement within a fantasy world. As part of the Acquisitions Incorporated company, players will be venturing into various dungeons and other locations in search of adventure and treasure. Whereas the first Clank Legacy was purely a co-op game, Darkest Magic will enable players to turn against their colleagues to further their advancement in the company. Featuring a campaign that will take place over the course of 12 separate sessions, Darkest Magic will see players gradually develop their characters and fill out their professional or personal journal. As a team of adventurers, players in Darkest Magic can choose to work together with their fellow explorers or can betray them for the sake of their own selfish gains. So yeah, everyone says like that Clank Legacy was one of the best Legacy games. I mean, even freaking Colin and Cindy were raving about it. So it's one of those I feel like we really do need to play at some point. What's the original?
Just reading the whole PvP ASCAP. I'm just like, Munchkin, Clank Legacy.
But actual rules.
Yes.
Now I'm looking on. I'm seeing how much does the regular Clank Legacy go for these days? Still $106.
Jeez.
Well, it's like a huge box. Like this box is like, think like how big size-wise the Gloomhaven box is, but not that deep. But like size-wise, rectangular-wise, it was that big around.
Oh, there's an expansion pack?
Yeah.
Upper management?
Yeah. If you want like more customization and options. Because the thing of it is what you finish Clank Legacy, you can keep playing it as just like your customized version of Clank.
Okay.
Which you've played. You've played the original Clank.
I played Clank in Space.
Oh, I thought you played the original one too.
I did not.
Okay. Same thing. Just fantasy versus sci-fi. Surprised they haven't done a Clanks in Space Legacy, but then you can't really do the Acquisitions Incorporated tie-in and get all that Penny Arcade money.
Yeah, you can't.
Hoser 40K, what is wrong with you that you've got Clank Legacy, but you haven't gotten around to it yet? What is wrong with you? All right, I talked about this briefly.
So hang on, Chris.
What?
Hoser 40K has Clank Legacy.
That's what I just said.
How do you go there?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. We'll just Hoser, we're coming over.
I think he lives in like Washington.
Okay.
Or he's
That's
Canadian.
our show. Good night.
Time. Yeah. Stop playing that Frostgrave. All right. Next up, I started farming wasps and keeping them on racks until they kept stinging me. It was such a betrayal. So finally, Act 2 for Descent Legends of the Dark is coming out. The Betrayer's War. The shambling armies of Wygar, I think that's Wygar, the Undying, clash with the servants of the Dragon Lord Levierax. While the I'm just whatever. While so-and-so's horde spreads as if guided by an unseen hand. As Tyrannol threatens to collapse, it falls to our heroes to forge a new future for their homeland. But are they up to the task? Fantasy Flight Games is proud to present The Betrayer's War, the second act of Descent, Legends in the Dark. This is another game I feel like we need to play. There's a lot of games, there's a lot of like campaign games we need to play. You need to figure out when you're free to play games.
Yeah.
The answer's never. That was the correct answer.
Pretty much. We got to schedule a lot of stuff. Oh, hey.
Yeah, so in this version you're going to continue just like, if you like Descent, you're going to get more Descent. You got more boards, more minis. They got this huge monstrosity here in the center, this big like dragon with wings thing. You're going to be using the app again, another app-based game. This will probably take up another cube cuz this cube is literally like a Kallax cube.
Oh, jeez.
That's the way the first one was, and I'm imagining this one's going to be just as big. New abilities to wield, new enemies to fight, new story to tell. And so it's the same characters, but like to show that the heroes have evolved, they're getting brand new cards, complete with new art and abilities to show like your characters have leveled up. Campaign games are too tough to commit to for a group that doesn't meet regularly. I've really cooled on them. Yeah, I know. This is why I haven't played like Arkham Horror in like a year. But yeah, so part 2, they announced, this game came out 2019. Yeah, 2019 is when the first one came out, and they've been promising Act 2 was coming, and now it's finally here 4 years later. While playing through the Betrayer's War, you are required to use the Act 2 hero cards for each hero. However, you can still make use of any and all the other cards that you unlocked during the Act 1 campaign, including skills and weapons. That's really cool. No, I'm not. That's all spoilery stuff. But I'm scrolling down to see when it happens. It's going to hit store shelves in August. So, Gen Con.
Yep.
So there you go.
I didn't see any note in there. It's labeled as the Betrayer's War expansion.
Uh-huh.
So does it require the first?
That is a good point, but it feels like you probably wouldn't want to start with this one because it is like the middle of the story.
Yeah.
I feel like you probably can, but it's probably one of those that you're just going to be in a better off, or you're going to be in a worse off place because you don't get the benefit of all those unlocks it was talking about.
Okay, that could be it.
And over here on the side, we can see this one's going to be $159.99 US dollars to get your hands on this baby. This is another game. The base game has already been like $100. All right, last story here. It feels like this last story is virtually here. So, Dungeons and Dragons, they showed off their impressive virtual tabletop. I'm only reading the title. The virtual tabletop looks like a video game. So they gave a first look at the remarkably video game-like Dungeons and Dragons virtual tabletop, which just goes to show, like, when you make it to like a video game, and it'll just like, well, let's just go play a video game, guys.
Yeah, like that
was the problem with, like, we tried for the Dirtbags to do one of those where it was like, we were doing the D&D. This was back when we were doing the Dirtbags Go to Hell, and when the pandemic started, and we recorded a session with us using the tabletop where you could like move the pieces and stuff. But it just felt like it was distracting from the story. Like
Lovely, yeah.
you were too focused on like the board and the board state that it was just, it definitely, we never released it because it wasn't worth anything entertainment wise audio, just because it just felt like the whole time you're just staring kind of at the screen. I just feel like there's a little bit, there's something to be lost there. Like like boards, yes, you kind of need it. You kind of need to be able to like, I'm over here and now I'm moving over here. But it's like, once you get like these graphics, I feel like I'm not going to be able to listen to my DM when I'm sitting here like staring like, oh my God, look at the graphics.
Right.
So this is the official virtual tabletop for Dungeons and Dragons, complete with 3D environments, character models, and animations. This is all their stuff. It's still in the early pre-stage alpha of development. The development team has given players an impressive first look at the software that could be easily mistaken for a bona fide video game. It's often entertainingly whimsical when played in real life, and it seems like the team is intent on giving players and dungeon masters the same flexibility with the virtual tabletop. Seems kind of funny that they kind of released this like right around when the D&D movie came out. So it's kind of like, hey, look what you can do. I was like, I see what you're doing there. Which I feel like that, I don't know if that needs to be a bonus bits, or we could do a whole show segment about the.
We could do an entire show.
Yeah, maybe that'll have to be next time. Maybe that'll have to be next time. So if you have seen the D&D movie and you have thoughts, email them. Feedback at boardsandswords.com. We'll talk about it next week, since we'll not as much content to go through between now and then.
Yes.
So yeah, there you go. There's a D&D tabletop. Blah.
What is that creature?
I've had some good experiences with the VTT, but it's easy to get sucked into playing a turn-based game. Like, honestly, the best ones I've seen is just when it's like people's faces, and then like someone can be like, here's the map. Like, there's that roll thing that I've tried once or twice. We used it once for a recording.
Where there's Roll20?
No. I'm talking about ROLE.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Where there has like the tray at the bottom, so like the GM can just like drag and drop up like a map or like a referenced image, and then you can just kind of like scroll it back down. Yeah, let's sit around the table staring at our laptop screens. People do it. I mean, all that could be fun though. When they have this virtual tabletop and then playing it in person, like in our setup, we actually have the big TV in the big TV set into the D&D table. So, you know, we could our DM could have the board up,
and we could move stuff around that way.
Yeah. It's good for Wrath and Glory, which has a lot of combat. Ooh, you've played Wrath and Glory? That's the newer 40K RPG, where it's like you can be anybody. You can be a space marine. You can be whatever you want to be. Go fight stuff. It's the more like combat-y focused.
Okay.
And they're about to come out with one that's more of like it's almost like a new version of what you played, the Dark Heresy game.
Yeah.
So there's that. All right. First of all, I've got these. I love this GIF. I love it so much. Why does love it doesn't want to update? That's great. All right. So here we go. So things will update as the computer decides it wants to. We'll see. So what have I been Philip, you haven't been up to anything other than the movie pretty much, right?
No, the movie.
You want to talk about what happened in Star Wars last time?
We did a lot of talking.
That was true. That was very little,
like rare for our group.
But there was no action in that one. There was a couple of dice rolls.
Yeah, there wasn't really any real combat.
It's one of those like we're planning the heist.
Yeah.
I forgot what's our goal on this one. We're trying to stop some weapons that are getting sent to some planet.
Yeah, we're trying to disrupt a smuggling supply line.
Yeah. And I'm just like, hey, let's get some armor because we're clones and we stick out. So let's get some armor that doesn't look like clone armor. And then our GM was like, yeah, just send me pictures of what you want your armor to look like, and I'll review them and stuff. And then while we're playing the rest of the game, all of us just keep kind of swiping through our phones to try and find like cool Star Wars armor.
Like armor and stuff. We should go with gold. Yeah, we should go with gold armor.
Well, you could probably definitely get the below the head parts. You just might not get the helmet.
I'm gonna be running around in a loincloth all the time.
You should get that. Do you remember in Atlantis when the Asgard had their big body suits?
Those Asgard battle suits?
Yeah. You should find a picture of them. So I've played some BattleTech. Apparently there's a big battle in the BattleTech universe. It's kind of like one of the last stands in the first clan invasion. It's called like the Battle of I want to say it's called Tukid, I think is what it's called. It was like on Earth, I think, if I remember right. Or I don't know. I don't know the lore of BattleTech as well as I know the what I know about 40K. But it was mainly like Comstar, which is like the phone company, and the clans, and it was kind of like what caused the clans to kind of go back and retreat for a while. So we didn't really. It was like that's the theme of what we're playing, but we weren't like hardcore of you've got to play these mechs and you've got to play these mechs. So it was just like, okay, your guys are going to be the clan, we're going to be the inner sphere. And go. And so there was like basically three large stompy clan mechs versus a bunch of like medium and large inner sphere mechs. And it's funny because when you get like 6 people around the table, like you don't want to do roll-offs for initiatives. So that's what these Pokemon cards are over here. Because like sometimes what people do is you'll take like cards and write your name on them and then like shuffle them.
Gotcha.
That's what we did for our for initiative when we were playing at the grinder in at JedCon. But this time it was like I just gave everybody a copy of a energy card and then took another copy and shuffled the stack up so you remembered what card you were. So I pulled 2 copies of each. One went in the stack to shuffle. The other got to the person as like, here's your color. And then it's like, okay, okay, so grass is first. Who's grass? Okay, this person over here. They're going to go first. And then that was my what's around me right now. There's a whole bunch of Pokemon energy cards. Let's do that.
There you
go. Let's see. Then speaking of BattleTech, I got to play even bigger BattleTech, which is called Alpha Strike. So this is the quote unquote modern version of BattleTech. So you've got classic BattleTech that's the hex-based grid and the same rules they've been playing for like 30 years. And Catalyst came out with a new rule set called Alpha Strike, where it's like, with these rule sets, we've simplified a lot of the rules down, and you could play a standard game of BattleTech in like, 4 mechs on 4 mechs for like 45 minutes. But you can also use this to play like giant games, because you could play because a lance is 4, and then like a company is a couple of lances, and then you have like galaxies where a bunch of companies. Like you could do companies and galaxy fights with these rules because they're that simple, and it'd probably take about the same time as like a classic BattleTech game. So this was the game that we played. Most of the terrain on here, except for I don't think these rocks were there, but most of this comes in the Alpha Strike box set. You had these like cardboard buildings that just basically it's like card stock that just folds up into a box and just becomes becomes a building. And then you got little cardboard trees on here. So we were over here playing. I'm playing 3 mechs versus. So we had a total of 16 mechs here on the board, and I want to say once you get down to like when we actually started, we played in like a little over an hour.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's super deadly. Like it's one of those like classic BattleTech. You got the big huge sheet full of dots you got to fill in. This. You're lucky if you've got like 10 dots.
Oh, wow.
So you take enough damage and it's like, I'm out.
Does this have the same stuff like Warhammer where you pop out, like this unit can move 7 inches per round?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the other thing is you don't use hexes, you use a measuring tape. But it's got, instead of having a count, it's just like range bands where it's like, oh, you get a +0 if you're in short range, which means like under 12 inches. If you're in like 12 to 24, you got to add a 2 to your roll. and or 2 to what you need to roll under and that sort of thing. And then long range is just basically like anything outside of 24 inches.
Oh wow.
So you could shoot across the board. It's just going to be harder to do so.
It'll
But
be that much more impressive when you hit.
yeah, like it's cool. I don't think it doesn't like. I could see why people like it, and it could definitely be fun for some of them large games. But half of the fun of BattleTech for me is filling in like all those darts. Like, oh man, my arm's gone. Like I know it's not practical or whatnot, but it is rather fun. But this is definitely a much easier way of teaching the people the game.
Okay.
So I could see moving almost from like this to classic. It would be a lot easier because it does use a lot of the same mechanics. It's just kind of pared down. Like your mech sheet is a baseball card basically.
Oh, nice.
And they even have it where it's like slightly laminated so that you can, the idea being you could draw on it or you can mark it off with dry erase marker. Yeah. And they sell them. The way it is like all the force packs and the booster boxes and stuff, they come with the Alpha Strike card in there as well. So I have the Alpha Strike cards for all the mechs that I have for the most part. So, what else do I got here? We'll talk about it here in a second, but you noticed that there was a big news story that wasn't in the news. Like the greatest news story. There's a new edition of Warhammer 40K coming. 10th edition, baby. So I was like, 10th edition? I'm just going to stop playing 9th. Like, what's the point at this point? Kind of tired of it. It's not, there's a lot to it that's just like, eh. And by the way, there's a campaign book coming out for Horus Heresy, and I've not been playing that much. And every time we play it, we're like, man, we need to play this more. So we broke out a game and we played like a, what was this, 3-on-3 clan, or 3-on-3 clan, here we go. 3-on-3 loyalists versus heretic. So we basically had like Traitor Guard down here in the bottom corner, some Night Lords, and then some Imperial Emperor's Children. And then, let's see what was over here. We had Blood Angels. I think it was it 2 sets of Blood Angels? No, Blood Angels, White Scars, and then my Imperial Fist tanks in the back.
Okay.
Which is funny because like this huge board, and like I don't think we barely crossed this middle barrier at all. Like by the time we got finished playing, like there was some stuff happening here, but a lot of the stuff in the very back had not really done like a lot of engage. Like one of the guys, in fact, it was Runic Scald who's in the chat. Well, I felt bad at the end because he really didn't get to do much other than being the rules reference guy for us looking stuff up. Because like one of the guys teleported back in this far off corner where I am. So I spent like the entire match trying to take him out. And then I found out that there's, oh my gosh, one of the special units I get are these Phalanx Warders, and they just basically, they're Space Marines with huge like Roman shields.
Okay.
So like they form a shield wall, and then they are like super, super hard to kill. Like they have like their regular, you got to roll a 3. They got to roll like a 3 to save, but like, oh, well, I've got AP, so I shoot through your save. Oh yeah, well, I get a 4-up invulnerable save, which means you don't modify it at all. It's just always a 4-up, which means that 50% of the time I'm saving it. Also, I get to re-roll that save at least once. So, like, I guess that, I don't know if that's exactly in math, but what, 75% of the time I'm passing my saves? So, yeah, I was like, oh, I like this. So then I was like, everyone was there. Some people were talking about leagues, and I know they meant 9th edition. They wanted us to start a new escalation league. And I was like, screw it. I just want to play Heresy because we don't play it enough. And it gets to the point that when we do play it, we're always having to relearn the rules because it's been like 3 months since we've played it last. So I was like, screw it. We're going to do a Heresy escalation league. And start off where, it's not going to be like what we usually do where it's like 3 months every week, blah, 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 blah. It's like twice a month. 3 months. That'll take us through to when 10th edition comes out. We'll do 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 points. So is that what's next? No, here it is. Yeah, so this is the game, my first game. We've only done one game so far. So it's Imperial Fists versus Iron Warriors. And this is like the showdown of all showdowns. Because like Imperial Fists are all about like building up the defenses and like being like the building up the fortresses. Iron Warriors are all about taking down fortresses. And it's like, what's the best way to like take out all these barricades and stuff? So I'm over here. My game's starting out. I've got like a Rhino over here that's got a squad of those Phalanx Warders, and then my Praetor, and the 60% of the time it works every time. And then I've got this new armored carrier over here that I just got over here. By the way, do you like the boards and swords?
I'm digging the little mats you got in there.
Yeah, those are objective tokens. So
Okay.
you throw that down, and because the way the objectives work is like, okay, the token is like this much, and as long as you're within 3 inches of that, you're on the objective. So you throw down that mat, the center of it, wherever the objective is, and as long as you're on the mat, you're on the point.
Nice.
Yeah, so these are like objective markers, and you can see they got like 4, like they're numbered, so you could like lay a bunch of them out. But yeah, so this is me. I've just got 2. I've got like a tank. I've got a armored personnel carrier, and they're both loaded up. None of the guys are out. This is all what I have to fight. I have to fight 7 tanks, 7 predators, which a predator is basically this tiny little rhino with a turret on top. It's like the smallest tank you can get, but it's still a tank. So like I'm looking this down, I'm like, I don't even know if I'm gonna get to him because he's gonna like wipe me out. Sure enough, he took out the rhino like the rhino got to this objective here before it blew up. So like moving on to over here. This is the way the battle ended up though, because come to find out, tanks are deadly until you get up next to them. Because it turns out tanks in Heresy suck at melee. Because like their weapon skill goes to a 1, which means you just need to roll like a 2 or better in order to hit them. And their armor value, you're taking their like their normal armor value is like a 14. So that means like, you have to have a really high strength weapon to be able to hurt them. But you use the rear arc whenever you're in melee, which I guess makes sense because you'd go up to the back of it and start hacking and slashing it. Mm-hmm. Which their rear is like a 10, so you don't need as powerful a weapon to do any damage. So yeah, of the 7 tanks that I killed, or the 7 tanks that he fought, what's that? What's that look?
I'm just, really? You don't need as much power when you're in the rear.
I knew it. I was like, where are we going with this? Where are we going? I saw the look. He's got the look. So of the 7 tanks that he brought to take me out, I killed 5 of them. And it all came down to like right here, like my Praetor is like in this circle, and you just got like bulldozed before you could reach in and get the final people. However, I still had the armored personnel carrier thing over here, and it parked itself over here, and we spent like 3 whole turns just shooting back and forth, neither of us doing damage. And then the game ended up just being over. Because, like, we reached the end of the battle, we reached the end of the rounds, and he hadn't fully killed me, but he still had more points because he spent the whole time on this point over here, and I couldn't take points because reasons. So, yeah, but it was funny because, like, he'd go to roll and roll, like, 1s and, like, 2s, and then I'd go to roll and maybe do, like, a wound. Like, we were both just, the die rolls were just not doing it in the second half. I was trying, like, my best to try and like, even if I was like, I knew if I could take out this one dude on the point, then I'd have a decent chance, but nope. But we did kill each other's warlords at least. But yeah. This Saturday we play our 2nd version of it, and I bought a new tank for to fix this list so it's a little bit better, so that instead of the armored carrier, I'm gonna bring a full-fledged tank and then 2 of these small guys. So it'll be pretty cool. In fact, actually, this tank right here that's in the middle, this kind of blue tank, that's what I got. It's called a Sikaran. So it's not as beefy as my big chonky boy back here in the back. But it does pack some punches. And then I also did some more BattleTech painting, this time with contrast paints. and trying to do like a camouflage look. So I don't know how well you can see, but like they're all gray, but there's some blue stripes. So it's like a black and blue, me trying to do like a black and blue striped camouflage look to them. I don't know how well that translates.
Okay. Yep, I see that in there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty.
Is your Arctic camouflage team?
Yeah. Well, it's Clan Ghost Bear. That was the kind of the vibe I was going for. There's a thing called Ghost Bear. So yeah.
Like BEAR or BARER?
BEAR, like Cocaine Bear, but with
like
ghosts.
Cocaine.
Yeah. Like it's the story and the lore that it's like the only clan that's somewhat decent because they like really value family, because it's basically all these families got split up into starting these new clans, and there was like two people that didn't want to break up, so they decided they were just going to go to this barren wasteland of a planet and just like harry carry, and it's like, well, we'll live out our last moments together, you know, like
they're not all bald and buff and running around family.
Yeah, actually, yes, that's pretty much what so what happened is, the way that the lore goes is they got taken in by a clan by a thing of bears, and that's how they survived. And then the clan leaders were also impressed with their loyalty and dedication, that they decided that it was okay for them to be together, and they formed this clan, Ghost Bear.
So it's the Jungle Book with space mechs?
Sort of. Well, I'm saying for this one, yeah.
They got raised by bears.
Yeah. Well, no, they were full-fledged adults.
Oh, and they got taken in. They got adopted.
Yeah, like they because like it's like an Arctic wasteland, so the bears help them survive.
Okay.
So, and then I played Kill Team. That's what so like this game. This is like the smaller version of BattleTech. This is like what you got your minis for, but the new version of it. Where I was playing like 5 of my Black Templars versus like freaking 13. They're called Kroot. They're just another aliens that work with the Tau a lot, and it's fine. It is a lot. It is really small and compact, and you know, once you know the hang of it, you could play really quickly. But it was weird because I got shot, like I got killed pretty not easily, because the Space Marines are really tough, so like it was hard for him to get hits, but he just had so many shots because he has so many weapons, because he had like, you know, 12 people, he's firing a whole bunch of different weapons, and it's like you're bound to get enough hits in. But towards the end of the game, I finally figured out that like the strategy is that since I get like 3 actions, I can technically move, shoot, and attack. So like towards the end, like one of my last guys was taking out like 2 guys on a turn.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, that's how I need to be playing these guys. Oh. So yeah. And I'm gonna throw it back on here. Actually, let's do 6-bit Phil. While you
Yes.
tell people about our Patreon while I bring up stuff for our next thing.
Patreon.com/boards and swords or boardsandswords.com/Patreon. You should subscribe to us. Send us, $1 a month. That's all we're asking for. You get to have access to the recordings of our episodes. You get access to the bonus bits. That's where Chris and I sit and just talk about random stuff and talk about our day, talk about our lot. It's really, it's a therapy session. Is what we're doing here.
But it's also like all those old. Hey, do you remember or have you seen this video?
We have fallen down somewhere. We'll start talking about BattleTech, and then it'll end up with like, what our parents would have named us if we would have been the opposite gender. Like, that's just like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got no idea. It's great stuff.
Yep. And like one of the things is we definitely tend to like not on the show, but we definitely tend to have pieces where we're like, hey, check out this video. So I was like, no, I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna start recording video of the bonus bits, and then we're gonna like watch them on the stream, because it's like, what? That's quality bonus content that it kind of be like. I got some great some great ideas here. So there's a lot of bonus bits, episode topics. Like we got there's a Power Rangers 30th anniversary coming out.
Yes.
I feel like that needs to almost be a live watch.
100%. That's we're gonna mystery science dirtbag theater.
But that almost
Mystery
needs to be
Dirtbag
like a live, like load up the Discord channel where if you're not on, join us now. And the only people that see that channel are patrons. So you're gonna have to go back us at least for $1 in order to be able to see that. If you wanna watch, if you wanna check out if you wanna do a group showing of the bonus bit of the Power Rangers 30th anniversary.
That's right. And then that's just the $1 tier, guys. Okay, there are higher tiers. Chris will send you a Boards and Swords branded D6. Chris will make dad jokes up about your favorite games.
Yep.
Okay,
I got one in the chamber I need to do, but it's just been very hectic. So, but we'll get around to it.
And then, but wait, there's more. There's also a goal. All right. There is, if we can reach $50 per month of subscribers, there will be a live play of a secret RPG.
It's not really secret.
If you've been watching before, you know what it is, but I'm not going to say anything about it from now on. It's secret from now. It's a
Let's
secret
just
from
say the Philip lookalike is on the cover of it.
It's a secret to everyone, and then you get 50 rupees from the old man. Ha! Who knows that game? I know that.
Yeah, I know that game. So for the last little bit here, I needed to talk. I was going to break it out so that way, if you don't care about tabletop games and tabletop war games, you can stop the show here. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. But Adepticon was last weekend or 2 weekends ago. End of March, as the lonely space marine just sits there waiting for his turn. And first up, while I wait for the screen to load over there, BattleTech, they had their new Kickstarter, and this is delayed now. It's now up to like $5.3 million in crowdfunding for Mercenaries expansion to Mech Wargame. Like it launched, and within an hour, somebody had messaged me going, "Hey, the Kickstarter's up." In that first hour, they only asked for like $100,000, I think it was. In that first hour, when I got to it to back, it had already broken $1 million. Yeah. That 4.5 million, this was within the weekend of it launching. It got to 4.5 million. So we're 10 days left. So we've hit kind of the lull that kind of happens in the middle of a campaign. I imagine as we get back to the very end, it'll ramp back up again.
As soon as people get that 48-hour push notification.
Exactly. But they've got it. Oh my gosh, they've got it now to where like the levels are like $80 for just like the box. That's all the new stuff. Which the Mercenaries expansion introduces a lot of like tanks and aircraft and that sort of stuff that have been existed in the past. But these are the new Catalyst models, and also they've done some revised rules. It's like some of the rules weren't great, so you can continue to play the rules how if you want to play the rules classically, you can continue to do so. This is just how we would like to introduce as another alternative, which I kind of like because it's kind of that way. It's like if you don't like it, you don't have to play it that way, and
there
people still support it, and you can still get mechs and stuff for it.
Hey, Melee.
Oh yeah.
The next picture down.
Oh yeah, BattleTech. You can
mark hammer.
Yeah, like BattleTech, you can have like there's a guy that's called a Hatchet Man and like an Axe Man, where you just go up and just start wailing on somebody with a giant metal axe.
Nice.
And deal damage. In fact, they've got rules so that like if you're at different terrain heights, because there's a punch table and a kick table that determines where you hit and how much damage you do. And like if you're at different terrain heights and you do a kick, you get to roll on the punch table instead because you're hitting the upper half.
Yeah.
So I really should show you BattleTech. I think you might actually really enjoy it, and it's not a game that you have to throw like hundreds of dollars on.
I'm just picturing a Mad Cat and an Atlas.
Yeah. Those are two
Like,
mechs.
does that automatically count as like an Atlas kicks a Mad Cat? No, that's actually the punch table because the damn thing's so tall versus the Mad Cat.
Actually, the Mad Cat's pretty beefy. Like, I would say the top of Mad Cat is like chest level of an Atlas.
Of an Atlas, yeah.
Because the standard Mad Cat is like 75 tons, and Atlas is 100 tons. So, yeah, they've got it now to where like the base box is $80, and then like you can do like another, and then they've got these force packs that there'll be more new force packs. You get like the level that gets you pretty much everything that's new is like $500. And then there's like a 275 will get you like half of all the new stuff, including Kickstarter exclusive stuff. And then they've got it to where if you back at that 275 and that $500 level, like every like million or every other million, they're adding in like extra force pack things. So like the total cost of each one of those packs just gets lower and lower because you're getting so many like free ones. It's redonkulous. Like you will get like, I'm half tempted to back this thing at the 275 level and just come away with like my arms full. Whereas like Games Workshop, I could get like one of those for 275.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe both of those, depending on how the deal's going. Whereas this, I'll have like walk home with like this giant, huge boxes of stuff. So yeah, that happened. It's still ongoing. You've got like 9 to 10 days. Everybody should back it because BattleTech is great. And then what else did I have? Oh, I talked briefly that there was a that's a Sikaran right there on the front of that cover. They announced finally they had rumored about it in some of the main books, and I had sat here thinking, I was like, man, what Horus Heresy really needs is a campaign book that's got like series of missions that tie together that give you kind of like some rules on like how to play campaigns and stuff. I was like, they're gonna have like this game is ripe to do campaign books, and then finally announced one is coming, the Siege of Chthoniya, which Chthoniya is Horus's home planet. Mm-hmm. So this is like, okay, we're taking the fight to him and make him play defensive on his turf. So, yeah, it's really great, and then it's got some of the other. Ashuradon and the true sons of Chthoniya arrive to reclaim it when it's under siege by Imperial Fists and Loyalist Thousand Sons. Details new army building options, campaign stratagems, battle achievements, and character casualty rules. Explore the history of battle through 2 sets of missions, 5 objective-based core missions, and 2 narrative apex missions that recreate important engagements during the battle. Oh, I bet those apex missions are some of those like giant scale mission things. It's probably super cool. And then they're bundling in some rules that they released online too. But so there was that. Super pumped for that, but that book's gonna be expensive probably. But I think
BattleTech got all its money from.
What?
It's the last 3.
Yeah.
It looks like they had to reopen them.
Yeah, they had to keep adding ones to it where
$5,000.
Yeah, well, it's like you get, and like one of the things is you get
2 years.
You get everything we put out for the next 2 years, and there's like a con, like an exclusive con you get to go to that like only the high tier Kickstarter backers get to go to. Something like that.
It's only gonna be 50 people.
Yeah. Like, sure, that's probably, I mean, that might be 1 million, but how many people, you've got it pulled up right now? How many?
No, that was, so it's $5,000 or more. Kappa 1 was 20 backers, Kappa 2 is 20 backers, Kappa 3 was 10 backers. So that's $250,000 right there.
Well, yeah, but that's a drop in the bucket of 5 million.
It is. But like, that's where their original goal just came from automatically.
Yeah. But other good stuff that came out, I think I mentioned this before, but Lionel Johnson, who is the Primarch of the Dark Angels, the rules reveal, I don't think I... No, yeah. But yeah, so they officially announced, like, they said it was like the best kept secret, and I really hope that was a joke, because this has been rumored for like the last 4 months that another Primarch, a loyalist Primarch, was coming back. So the Primarchs are just to recap, Primarchs are the sons of the Emperor. Each one is the gene father to a specific legion of Space Marines. So the Legion 1, which is the Dark Angels, they were the first legion to discover their Primarch, is the Dark Angels, and that was Lionel Johnson. They're kind of like Knights of the Round Table type thing, because like that's what their home planet was. They had like knights that would go around and fight beasts that like threaten people and stuff. Wow. And so like that's the kind of King Arthur Knights. Then you play Dark Angels pretty much. But a lot of the Primarchs, they're either like they just kind of disappear. There were some Primarchs that just straight up got murdered, and then a lot of them just got like mortally wounded and then just kind of like drifted off in space, kind of thing. And like one of them, like the Lion's just been in like sleep basically for 10,000 years. Because it's like it's in a place called the Rock, which is basically the shattered remains of their home world. Just got like blown up, and now it's just like fragments of it, and he was just asleep there, like. And then now he's, through the big storyline that's going on there, he's awoken, which is great because like when the other Primarch came back, he had been put in stasis, so he looked just like he stepped out from 10,000 years ago. Whereas like the Lion slept, so he is like old man looking, which is
he pulled a what was that?
But it's like distinguished old man, like looking to start a fight.
Yeah. What was that? That weird children's story, the guy who fell asleep in the woods.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it.
Yeah. All right, come on, Google.
Philip's gonna look that up. But yeah, so whereas the other loyalist Primarch that you can play right now in 40K, that's Rabute Gilliman, he carries around the Emperor's sword, like, because the Emperor's, basically a corpse on a throne. He takes around the Emperor's sword and deals his wrath, and it's like the only thing that can straight up kill demons. Like, normally when demons die, they just get sent back to the warp, but when the Emperor's sword kills them, it like disintegrates them. They no longer exist.
Okay.
Whereas the lion has the Emperor's shield instead. So it's great. You got like the sword and the shield.
Yeah,
and then he's got some little guys here holding staves, and
I was gonna say he's got a couple of Jawas helping him.
Yeah, he does. But like, you say Jawa, but actually this is supposed to represent a normal size human, and that's just how big Primarchs are compared to normal size humans.
So the stuff at the bottom, is that representative of Primarch Space Marine human?
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. Hold on. Are you talking about a picture at the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me scroll down.
Like, is a Primarch like 4 feet taller than a Space Marine?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. The way it was supposed to be is like, because like a Space Marine is supposed to be intimidating to a normal human, and then it's supposed to be like a Primarch is intimidating to a Space Marine.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Sheesh.
So that's also, like, I love this artwork over here of like him in this like green light. Kind of like sells to me, him as like the old man kind of makes it look more of that like Knight at the Round Table kind of looking character. Rip Van Winkle, yes. I love you typed it in, but you didn't say it.
I know. You were talking right,
Sure.
like right when I found the article. You were talking, and I was.
And then there's this picture of the Lion versus Angron, who's one of the the Primarchs that turned into a demon. I love the story of this. It's like, it's not a good story, but it's just a lot of story.
Okay, yeah.
And then the thing everybody's waiting for, 10th edition. Yay! 10th edition's coming for 40K. It's gonna have a box that's probably gonna have Space Marines versus Tyranids, because I think they're showing off that the Tyranids are back, and they're gonna the focus of this is gonna be like, man, the Tyranids are really gonna be eating up the galaxy. Better watch out.
Zerg are always coming back.
But there's a lot of things like I'm very interested to see what they're doing. There's a lot of promises that if they keep are very hopeful. They did a lot of, they called it simplified but not simple. So it's still going to be a complex game, but it's not so complex that you need to have multiple books laid out and various pages open and et cetera, et cetera. So also, because they're doing all this, they have to redo pretty much every data sheet. So but when they went from 8th to 9th, basically the way they did it is the changes were small enough that you could use your old codex as is with a few changes until the new codex came out. But this is pretty much slate wiped clean. Everybody's getting these new data sheets, and then we'll bring out the codexes with extra rules and stuff. So actually, I found everything you need to know, but that's not.
I was gonna say, like, I love how there are 3 separate articles.
Yeah.
About
Well, I didn't know how I wanted to go through it, so I just dropped a bunch of stuff on it. Will it be quicker and easier to play? We've listened to your feedback and taken on board all the suggestions we've received since the launch of 9th. One thing that repeatedly came up was the number of different books you need to reference. Yeah. So like if you're playing competitively, the way, especially before a lot of the codexes come out, because what they would do is they'd have these storybooks that had like the next season worth of content, and they'd have these storybooks that would be about this section of war that's going on, but they would include small tidbits of rules for other armies. So it's like, hey, the Tyranids Codex isn't out, but we've updated some of these rules in this storybook, and or like this White Dwarf, which is their magazine that's all about Warhammer. We've released some rules in there to kind of like tide people over until the codex comes out. So you'd have to have like your main rule book, one of these storybooks maybe, or a White Dwarf, and then maybe whatever the current season is, there'll be a separate book that has like the missions and stuff in it there, like all within arm's reach potentially. So thankfully the days of flicking through multiple books to find the ones you need are now over. We'll see. Datasheet cards for your faction now contain everything you need to play the game at your fingertips. So one thing that the fantasy version, Age of Sigmar, does is instead of having they have like the book that has all the data sheets, which I think they call them war scrolls, but they also sell individual cards. So they're like this big, and it has all the info for that character on it, and that unit on it. So it's like, okay, I've got 4 units of things. I just have 4 cards out, and now I've referenced all my army.
Oh yeah.
I don't have to have like pages of rules on through an app that I downloaded and stuff. I'm gonna skip the combat patrol stuff because that's just like, hey, you can play with these boxes and stuff. Your miniatures aren't going anywhere, and we'll have more to say about what codexes will look like. Codexes will look like early next week. Our universal special rules returning. So one of the things they used to do, and Heresy has this, where instead of having all these different rules that were spelled on all these books, they had a bunch of things they called universal special rules, which is they would define in these books all these special rules, and then the different armies would just have keywords. So you didn't have to have like a whole bunch of rules you didn't have to keep coming up with new rules to make things different for each army. You just be like, oh, this army references this keyword, and this army has that keyword. Because like right now they have these stratagems that you pay command points for and do different things, but there's so many of them that are exactly the same, but they're just named different things.
Gotcha.
So this is like, oh, well, we're just going to have, oh, you have this cool ability. What's that? Oh, it's just the flavored version of this rule is what they're talking about potentially having. Yeah. So there's like for instance, there was a lot of things like Deep Strike and Feel No Pain, where the Feel No Pain is like when you if you fail all your saves and end up taking damage. A lot of things had rolls where it's like anytime you actually take a wound, you roll, and if you hit a 5 or a 6 or a 6, you ignore that wound. And one of the abilities we call Feel No Pain. And so anytime anybody else had an ability that was similar to that, it's like, oh, I've got to Feel No Pain. So it's like, well, if everybody's calling it that, we'll just call it that for everybody.
There you go.
So There's so much detailed stuff I could go into. One of the things they talked about in the live stream was like, you know, instead of flipping back and forth through various pages in the book, the idea being is that you can just open up a book, and on that 2-page fold will be everything you need for like army specific rules. Like if you're playing a chapter of Space Marines, you could open it up and there's all your chapter specific rules. And if you want to change to like a different chapter or something, you just turn the page to a different page, and now it's got all the rules for that chapter, kind of thing. Like a lot of things they were talking about, and it's like if it works as they described, then that could be pretty cool. But we'll definitely see. But yeah, that was. Yeah, it's one of those, like, it's been 3 weeks, I think, since I did it. So it's been a little bit simmered down. We've been getting new stuff. There's a lot of new stuff. They haven't released any box art of what the starter box is going to be, but I imagine it's going to be like $300.
Oh, yeah.
And who's going to get it? This guy.
That guy right there.
Although I'll have to find somebody that wants the Tyranids, because I don't think I need another army worth of stuff sitting around waiting for me to paint. Hey, Philip, you want to play Zerg? I'll buy it and paint it. You just have to play it. That's all.
So when which not that article there, there was like a quick pause title screen type thing.
Oh yeah.
And it honestly looked like a Zerg.
I mean,
right it had like a human face on one side and half the. Like
oh
half a Zerg face on the
yeah.
other
I know
side.
what you're talking about. It's yes, like this right here. Yeah, because they're also bringing back Terminators. So the previous 2 editions, they haven't redone the Terminator sculpts because like Primaris Marines weren't Terminators.
Okay.
And now they're bringing them back, and like, Primarises can have, or you know, Terminators can be, or Primaris Marines can be Terminators, and this and that. Let's see if I can.
Yep, that one right there.
Yeah,
that's green.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you make the Zerg joke, but literally the Zerg are based off of Tyranids.
It's like that's
because
that's
StarCraft.
a Hydralisk.
Well, yeah, because StarCraft was originally going to be a Warhammer game, and then they didn't get the license. Like, we're just going to call it Zerg and Terrans and, you know, Protoss instead of Eldar, Space Marines, and Tyranids.
We represent but are legally distinct.
Hey, you got a thing that says Bug Hunt behind you.
What?
Well, on your
screen
it says Bug
on
Hunt.
my screen.
Hold on, I want to see. They just released. I want to say there was like a new Tyranid army or unit, I think, that just got announced. And they downloaded the Lions datasheet too. I heard some people talking about that. Oh, the Von Ryan's Leaper. I don't know what the
Von Ryan's Leaper.
Yeah. All right, let me flip it back now. I found it. There we go. No, it didn't refresh. I was hoping that maybe I could get it to refresh. But yeah, this is some of the new stuff. If the computer will ever update. Come on now. There it goes. Yeah, this is some of the new units that they've got. Oh man, friend of mine at the store, he did this like snow painting with it method of it, painting it with like contrast paints, where it's like think like a blue, it's like white with like blue armor plating and then like red blood, and then he'd have like the base be snow with like blood dripping in, or like red stains in the snow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's like super dope.
So just looking at the base, I'm appreciating the detail they put into his foot.
Yeah.
It looks like the claws are going into the dirt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things where you can like put like tufts of grass on there and then put the claw. Like you make a lot of people, I don't do this, but a lot of people will make the mini separate and then do the base and then attach the mini to the base. Whereas I just like gluing it on there so that they'll stand up and I can hold it and stuff. But yeah. And then today they released the rules for the lion, which While a friendly Dark Angels unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1. That's pretty awesome. Hey, look, Watchers in the Dark. There's this little guy. Look at this little guy. This model can attempt to deny the witches if... Okay, that's cool. But, yeah, that kind of stuff's not going to be interesting if you've not played, but if you've ever thought about Warhammer, this is definitely, like, the time to get in on it. I keep telling people that are, like, interested, they're like, oh, what should I get? And I'm like, definitely not any books. Go buy models, do not buy books. They're about to all get replaced. So, like I said, if you've got cool things that you're interested in that's coming out, and what are you excited for about the new 40K stuff, hashtag new 40K, then send it to us, feedback@boardswords.com. Also, let us know what you thought of the D&D movie, and we'll do some feedback. Maybe we'll read some reviews. I'll see if I can find like the worst reviews I can find, that sort of thing. But Phil, I think it's time to play that. That beautiful beam footage.
Yep, that's been our show, everybody. We hope you enjoy what we're doing. If you want to know when we're doing it, you got to go to boardsandswords.com/live. That's got the schedule for when we try to record this show. And boardsandswords.com, it's also got all the links to everything we've done in the past. If you want to hear some great random campaigns that we've done, you got to go check out some of those stories. They're amazing. And it really, really kind of showcases the craziness we get into when we play all these RPGs.
Yep. All right. Send us feedback. We love it. I love reading it. There's been people that have emailed me. If I haven't read your stuff on the show, I'm sorry, but I still do love it and I enjoy it, and I usually end up writing back. Email us feedback@boardsandswords.com, Facebook @boardsandswordspod, Instagram @boardsandswordschris, and boardsandswords.com for links to everything else like the Patreon. Check it out. Help support the show, and we'll be back in 2 weeks we'll be back next week. We'll be back next week with another show. In the meantime, remember that every gamer has a story, and you don't want to know why I have a Star Wars Band-Aid on my finger. Actually, I just sliced it on some metal. That's what it was.
This story sucks.
I know. Well, I mean, I was taking the battery out of Ashley's Prius, and I mean like the hybrid battery, and sliced it on the metal casing.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
You were fighting off a horde of bears.
Okay. And I kept them away
really...
with just this finger.
That's right. That's right. You gave him the finger.
This finger's not the hammer. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right, man. That is. I